Good evening. We are in the time of bottleneck. We know this is a bottle. Look at the neck. Neck is very narrow, tight. There is no enough space. Here there is lot of space. Here there is no space. It's very tight. So it is called bottleneck times. COVID-19 outbreak, global warming, climate change, extinction of species, issue of water. There are so many limiting factors. So that's why I'm calling it's a time of bottleneck. Very difficult times for planet Earth. Of course for humans, for other life too. So how are you going to get through the bottleneck? So that is what our theme of this segment is all about. On Earth, today, animal and plant species are becoming extinct at about 1,000 times faster than fossil records. In fact, the rate of extinction is the highest it has been since the last great extinction at the end of the age of dinosaurs. That is 65 million years ago. So I think this is the bottleneck I'm talking about. After 65 million years, 2020, this century, the 21st century, is exposed to the bottleneck. It started probably in the middle of the 19th century, that is 1850. For the past 150, 200 years, we have been living in this bottleneck and we have not yet come out of it. And the bottleneck is still shrinking. The main reason for the high rate of extinction today is loss of habitat, loss of place for other creatures. Because humans have colonized every habitat. They have driven out all the species out of their living habitat. Most species of animals live in small ranges in or near tropical climates where conditions are richest for the development of life. This is the equator. So most of the life is concentrating here in the equator. Maybe 20 degrees north, 20 degrees south. Let us put it even 30 degrees north and 30 degrees south. Full of life, full of biodiversity, concentrations here on the equator. Unfortunately, the human population also exceeding the carrying capacity of the earth on equator. Most of the people live on equator and 20 north, 20 south. Most of the habitats are destroyed here. Too many people concentrated here. Human populations have been rising rapidly since the mid-1900s, and people in search of land for farms, ranches, and houses have chopped down more than 70% of the tropical forest. 70% of the tropical forest is chopped down, chopped down, where half the world's species live. Climate change creates an even greater challenge, especially for species with diminishing populations. The ecologist Aldo Leopold wrote, my favorite land ethic writer, Aldo Leopold. He writes as follows: we abuse land because we regard it as a commodity belonging to us. When we see land as a community to which we belong, we may begin to use it. We may begin to use it with love and respect. In the past, the earth has taken about 10 million years to regain its previous levels of biodiversity after major periods of extinction. The question that environmental scientists are now asking is how humankind and other life forms can share the Earth's sustainability over time. One type of habitat that is disappearing at an alarming rate is vernal pools. It is known as vernal pools. They are seasonal wetlands that are important for the survival of many species of wildlife, especially in Mediterranean type climates, that is the equator, maybe 20 degree north, 20 degree south. Lots of vernal pools here. They are seasonal wetlands, full of them, but now they are disappearing because of human encroachment. Often surrounded by spectacular flowers in spring, these areas. These pools are home to several species that are endemic, meaning that they live nowhere else. Endemic species. They are appropriate to that place. They don't exist anywhere. They exist only here. For example, several types of tiny shrimp and more than 60 species of plants live only in tropical vernal pool ecosystems, where the eggs of some shrimp dry out in the winter and hatch when the pool forms again next year. Other plants and animals that have adapted to the vernal pool ecosystems grow or come around each spring to take advantage of the watery landscape. Frogs lay eggs in the pools, and the tadpoles, when they are grown, leave the water and move on to the land that is called land phase of their lives as the vernal pool dries up each summer. Fish cannot breed in the pools due to the lack of a permanent source of water. But migrating birds, tiger salamanders, and other animals depend on the vegetation and shrimp for food. In recent years, less than 30% of tropical vernal pool ecosystems remain. Many are on land that people want to use for other purposes. Conservation organizations and the international governments of our planet Earth are working to understand and manage remaining wild landscapes, to protect vernal pools and other fragile ecosystems. Today's ecosystem managers realize that in order to be sustainable over time, ecological management has to take into account the needs of all the inhabitants of the land, from humans and mahogany trees to chameleons and soil microorganisms. For many, the primary goal is not to keep forest pristine without any human presence, but rather to establish a non-invasive and mutually beneficial balance between man and nature. For example, research on mosquitoes and malaria now shifted focus away from killing mosquitoes, an action that would disrupt the balance of the ecosystems, and towards simply making them unable to transmit malaria to humans. In other words, mosquitoes, they have the right to existence. At the same time, humans also right to existence. But we need not kill them in order to protect humanity. In olden days, we used to have mosquito net. That was fantastic. Use the mosquito net. You are also safe. Mosquitoes also trying to bite you, but they can't get through. But today we are putting poison and killing them. That is not right. Let them exist and let them do their job, because they play a role and we also play a role. We can coexist. That is the word. Coexist. Management of the world's ecosystems will continue to be a great challenge. Understanding ecology can help bring humanity through the bottleneck of our enormous population growth, while still preserving the integrity of Earth's ecosystems. Understanding ecology can help bring humanity through the bottleneck. Maybe environmental education, maybe awakening of union, or understanding the interdependence with other creatures, maybe understanding the coexistence. Without them, we can't exist. So that kind of awakening can really bring out humanity from this bottleneck. So I think it's the greatest challenge. COVID-19, all the ecological problems, global warming, climate change, extinction of species, issue of water, loss of biodiversity, and overpopulation and scarcity of resources, all of them now we are facing in this phase, the bottleneck. Once we get through, probably we change and we go into the same biggest phase. That is the thing, what we are looking for. I think COVID-19 has put us here. bottleneck. I think we need to go back slowly. I think the virus is going to allow us to move to a bigger space, and probably we have learned a lesson and we will never end up again here. No, stay here. It is better for humans and for other creatures. Thank you.